We're beginning chapter 7, and this is not the principal area, but I wanted to cover some of this before we get to the principal area. Just want to show that we have things like snakes. There's one here. There's another one here. You can see that there's an object or a form here. There's another next to it. We have this object. This material doesn't look like rock. For example, we have this form, and there's something hanging off here. So does that make this a tail or a feeding tube? Is this a living creature or is this something else? Got forms. Now we have something here. I'm going to take a close look at this, and we're going to examine this area here. And in this section we've also got stuff on the ridge line, and we'll be discussing that in a little while. So let's take a look at this to begin. I've enhanced this somewhat and sharpened it, and you'll notice that there is a serpentine form, but it appears to be something made of metal, and there's a face sculpture lying face up, and there's some other material. So we're going to take a look at this. You can see forehead, eyes, nose, mouth, chin and cheeks, and this sculpture is lying on an object, and that object seems to be made of long sections. There appear to be 3 here, long bars, and here there's a green sphere. There's something here with color, and you can see that there's something here. Whatever that is, it's a very strange image. Now, let's take a look at this area here. Now again, I've enhanced this somewhat and sharpened it. This is auto contrast and auto tone as usual. And what do we find? Well, we have an object here. We have a separate object here, and there's another in front of it. There's an object here. There's a separate object here. There's something here. This may be a disc, flying disc, and we have an object here. So I think these are all craft, and they're parked in the Martians' usual precarious position. Something with color here. We're getting glare from the sky, and that's causing a loss of contrast in the image. But this is our central feature, which I call the dino craft. You can see mouth with teeth, a very deliberate eye, nose, and we've seen these features before, and I'll explain this further again. Here we have a broken up craft has two wings. There's a wing here, and there's a wing here. And it's difficult to say where the front end of this craft is. I assume this is the front. Maybe this is even the back. I don't know. But when they got ready to deposit this craft, they brought it in at a height and released it, and it dropped straight down, and this wing hit this rock, which split the wing in two. So we have a broken wing here, and we have a wing here, or an airfoil. Now we're going to be taking a closer look at this, but if you'll remember, in the chapter called The Middle, we found what I called a relic airfoil, and it had structure very similar to these. Now, because we know that this is a wing and it fits in this characteristic shape, in fact it's shaped like a Bernoulli cross section of a wing. That's what this is. If you look carefully, right here on the ground, the airfoil or wing that fit in this fell off, and it's lying here. Now here there's a metal object. It looks like a manhole cover on a street that's being paved. The lower section is wider, the upper section is just a bit narrower. So is this a hatch? Whatever it is, it's manufactured. Now, right here, protruding from under this cover, there's a tuning fork shape. It's not very large compared to this one in the back. We have another tuning fork shaped object, and that is associated either with this mound or something lying behind that mound. So we have the dino mound, the dino craft, a disguised, disused flying craft, and we have this mound, and we have this object associated with this craft. So presumably this object is associated with another craft, perhaps under this mound here. Now, we have enhanced versions of this central detail, this craft, this stuff in the back, and there's a broken up craft here. And it is because of these broken up and disused craft that I call this the graveyard. So let's look at some enhanced images. Sharpened, the contrast has been boosted somewhat, and you can see this tuning fork shape here. There's another object here. You can see this tuning fork shape here. And there's a form here. There's the eye. Notice that we have 3 horizontal dots and 3 vertical dots. The row and the column share this one. I've isolated the wing portion of the dino craft And I've boosted the brightness to relieve the shadow area here. You can see the Bernoulli shape of the wing opening. Here's the shaft of the tuning fork shaped object, but here we have the wing lying on the ground from this opening, and there's a second wing here, apparently from another opening. So just as the craft to the right of the dino craft, the one with the broken wing, just as that has a two-wing configuration, this craft also has a two-wing, or had a two-wing configuration, except that in this case both wings have been detached, and apparently this craft has been here for a long time. Now I want to call our attention to Martians and craft for a moment. You notice that we have a pair of Martians here. Head, dark top, gray pants. Head, right shoulder and arm, and legs, dressed in an off-white. And judging from their postures, I assume this is a male and this is a female, slightly shorter. We have, it appears to be a craft here. There's something here in this area. I'm not sure what to make of that. But up in the back, appear to have a Martian here, and the craft, we have a craft here, we have a craft here, and there's another craft here. There appear to be two craft here, parked side by side, and there may be a light source here, because there seems to be reflection from this pool of light. And we've got something strange here. With regard to these craft here, this seems to be the modern configuration. They're ground conforming. When they sit down on the ground, they take the shape of whatever the surface is that they're sitting on. And this is as opposed to the more rigid, older type of craft that we see here. Fixed wing type of craft. Now, there's another craft here, apparently. This appears to be another Martian. Head, dark top, gray pants. And we're going to take a closer look at this also. This is a confusing area. Not sure what to make of this, but we're going to take a look at that. Now, up and back, here are the sun rings. And you can see there's a Martian here, probably another here. Head, dark top, gray pants. Head, dark top, gray pants. Might be another here. Might be another here. Not always easy to pick out, but there are a couple of Martians here anyway. And I think there's probably at least one here. And there may be others. Maybe one here. Maybe one here. I think it's time for another session of NASA's hand at work. So I want you to pay attention to details like this tuning fork shaped object, this large tuning fork shaped object in the back. This is called Mount Sharp. This is from the Philosophy of Science portal. It's a TIFF image. And you can see what they've done with this object. NASA, I mean. You can see that these details have been degraded. Here's the cover over the channel. You'd hardly know there was a channel here. This is the object that we looked at in detail. That's been obfuscated. And the craft with the broken wing. It's there. If you know that it's there, you can see this section here, but the image as a whole has been degraded. The dino craft has been degraded. Even worse is this image. This is PIA 16105. This is titled Layers at the Base of Mount Sharp. You'd hardly know there was water, and you'd look in vain for those tuning fork shaped objects. They've been removed. They've been obliterated. Particularly the broken up craft with the broken wing. Look what they've done to it. This is what NASA releases to the public. This is the metal sheath that covers this channel. And I'm not entirely clear on this image, but I'll show you what I see. I think there's a holographic screen here, and there appears to be a figure in it. This is mauve, and this screen is green, and I don't know if this is a portion of a face. I don't know what this image is, but they break up this image. Over here you see that there's material that breaks up this image in the center. It's indistinct. It seems to come up and over this object, whatever this is. At first I took this to be an arthropod, but it's not. So we have something here, and it's connected to something here, and there seems to be an indistinct material all through here. Then over here I think that we have a Martian. Appears to be head, shoulders, chest to about mid-chest. So here's the left arm, the shoulder and arm, upper arm. Here's the right shoulder and upper arm, and the body is cut off by this object. And then here we have another Martian, I believe. There's the head, and there are the shoulders and the upper back. And there's probably a third here. We've got a head, and this is shoulders and upper back. And there may be more. . Now I'm not entirely satisfied with scale, how these images relate to the rest of the image, but I can only show you what I find. I've got something here. I don't know if these are craft. Something here in the back. There's something here. Now, here's that craft with the broken wing, or airfoil. Has a wing here and a wing here that has been split in two. And there appears to be something else here. How they relate to this craft is not clear to me. And again, you can see this source of illumination here. But this is much better, I think, for the wings, for the structure. This broken wing and the rock that it hit. And in this image, you can see that there's a craft that has been broken up. There's a piece here with two pieces at an acute angle. There's a section here which appears to have three angles. This angles back, and then across, and then it angles back again. And there's another section here. Now, how many craft are here altogether? Whether this is one large craft or several, I don't know. Now, here's another version of that broken up craft. You can see the various sections. It's difficult to say how many individual craft are here, but they're all broken apart. Whether it's one or several, they're all broken apart. But you can see the structure. Actually, it looks like we may have Martians standing right in here in this crook. Looks like two black top, gray pants. And this continues back. There may be a Martian standing on the craft here. Now here's a section under the ridge, and you can see that we have loss of detail because of light from the sky. But you can see that there are objects. You can see that there are things parked below this ridge. And you can see here that there's a metallic sheen. But we can do better than this. Here's another section. And you can see verticals and horizontals. There may be craft here. There's a cannon-shaped object here. Got these pipes. Now we have a section here. There are buildings in the back, I believe. But look at this building. There's a vertical. And there's a rounded top. And you can see openings. And over here there are gold spheres. And this may be an energy weapon defending this building. So we have a vertical here, the rounded top, And finally, this is the top of the ridge, and you can see the craft parked here. Now these, I pointed out earlier, these are either buildings or craft, and we can take a closer look. This one appears to have an indentation in it. But here we have a craft that conforms to the ground. This is probably a second craft parked behind it. This is another craft in the background. There's another here, and there's another here. And this is why NASA brushes out the top of the ridge in other images.